Seeing a surplus on trade balance, Trade Minister is confident that the economy in 2021 is going stronger. Astra Agro Lestari targets 5% CPO growth production. Good evening. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of information from business, economic, and capital market sectors. And as pandemic is still ongoing, we will provide you the latest COVID-19 information. And please stay safe by taking some simple precautions such as physical distancing, wearing a face mask, avoiding crowds, cleaning your hands, and having less mobility. I'm Wicky Adrian. This is Market Headline. The Ministry of Trade said that current economic situation is much stronger than last year, even though the pandemic is still ongoing. This is seen from Indonesia's trade balance, which was still a surplus of $1.32 billion in June 2021.
Trade Minister Muhammad Lutfi stated that the Indonesian economy in 2021 is stronger than the last year, although COVID-19 pandemic is still going on. This refers to Indonesia's trade balance, which is positive in the midst of the global economic recovery. In June 2021, the trade balance surplus was recorded at $1.32 billion. Lutfi added that the highest trade surplus in January to June 2021 occurred between Indonesia and United States relation, which was surplus around $6.55 billion.
8,04% dari 3,93 miliar menjadi 5,82. Sedangkan untuk non-migas pertumbuhannya adalah 34,06%. Sedangkan untuk impor juga tumbuh sehat Bapak dan Ibu. Untuk impornya itu bertumbuh 28,36%, yaitu dari 70,90 miliar menjadi 91,01 miliar.
Lutfi is optimistic that a trade surplus is a signal for Indonesia's economy improvement. According to him, the government continues to open up opportunities for trade agreements to increase national export. Jakarta, Rizka Ayu, IDX Channel.
Ministry of Finance ensures that debt issuance during the pandemic is aimed to save the people and economy. The Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati emphasized several things to help pandemic conditions such as vaccinations to social assistance are partially financed by debt.
The government ensures that the state finance management, especially debt issuance, aims to save the people. The increasingly uncertain pandemic conditions make state budget instruments maximized to handle COVID-19 and encourage social assistance. The Ministry of Finance, Sri Mulyani Indrawati, ensures that debt management remains professional and prudent. Finance Minister saw that the debt is a part of state budget rescue instrument, even though it may be implied to the state budget deficit. So far, the Finance Ministry has recorded state budget deficit throughout the first semester of 2021, reached 283.3 trillion rupiah.
Kami di Kementerian Keuangan merespon dengan whatever it takes. Apapun kita lakukan untuk menyelamatkan warga negara dan perekonomian Indonesia. Dan itu berimplikasi kepada defisit APBN. Kenapa kita harus menambah utang? Seolah-olah menambah utang menjadi tujuan. Padahal dia adalah merupakan instrumen whatever it takes untuk menyelamatkan warga negara dan perekonomian kita.
This year, the government maintains the total deficit at 1,006.4 trillion rupiah, or 5.7% of the GDP. Jakarta, Raja Patmo, IDX Channel.
Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati revealed that there is more dire threat that the COVID-19 pandemic that currently haunts all countries. The global threat is climate change. But then, just like COVID-19, climate change can be solved with a cooperation of all countries in the world. This was conveyed by the Minister of Finance, Sri Mulyani Indrawati, in the keynote speech of the ESG Capital Markets Summit, which was held virtually. In the future, Sri Mulyani said that as countries become more prosperous, development will be more massive and pressure on natural resources will be more vivid.
Mengenai carbon pricing, kami sekarang sedang menyiapkan mekanisme carbon pricing karena bagaimanapun juga tadi disampaikan bahwa penurunan emisi karbon itu berarti akan ada yang mensuplai dalam bentuk carbon emission dan ada yang meminta demand terhadap carbon emission. Mekanisme market dari karbon ini sedang terus dibahas di level global juga. Dan Indonesia sekali lagi tidak dalam posisi defensif. Kita justru aktif untuk membangun mekanisme di dalam negeri dan menyiapkan seluruh pihak.
Moving on to global, 3 weeks after it outlined its much publicized roadmap for living with COVID-19, Singapore is returning to a partial lockdown for a month. On the other hand, surging sales of fashion lines and handbags by Dior, Fendi and Louis Vuitton, powered by LVMH's revenue in the second quarter as coronavirus restrictions eased around the world. More stories on today's International Minute.
3 weeks after it outlined its much publicized roadmap for living with COVID-19, Singapore is returning to a partial lockdown for a month. The city-state is recording the new many cases of virus in 11 months, with growing clusters around nightlife venues and major fishing port causing alarm. The country is reverting into the tight restrictions it had in place during May and June, shutting down dining in restaurants, closing indoor venues such as gym, and limiting gatherings for 2 people only. The development is a step back to Singapore's ambition to start dealing with COVID-19 as it would to influenza and treating it as an endemic and manageable disease rather than a pandemic. Sales at Giorgio Armani jumped by 34% in the first half of 2021 as business in China and the United States helped the Italian fashion group bounce back again. Although it said it could be next year, but it fully recovers from the pandemic. In the first half of the last year, in fact, Armani's company had seen a 25% decline in sales that had led net revenues to fall to 1.6 billion euros. However, with strong recovery, the company is expected $4 billion in induced turnover and $2 billion in direct turnover by the end of 2021. Surging sales of fashion lines and handbags by Dior, Fendi, and Louis Vuitton powered LVMH revenue in the second quarter as the coronavirus restrictions eased around the world and the luxury goods group edged out some rivals to raise its market shares. The Paris-based luxury goods titan reported revenue of 28.7 billion euros or equal to $33.9 billion for the first half of 2021, up 56% compared to the same period in 2020, with such gains driven particularly by accelerated growth in the second quarter of 2021. LVMH revealed that the fashion and leather goods division, which is the largest business group, achieved record levels of revenue with organic growth of 81% compared to 2022. And went up 38% compared to 2019, with the sales in the US and Asia went up sharply. Tesla Incorporated posted a bigger second quarter profit than expected, thanks to sharply higher sales of its less expensive electric vehicles as it raised prices to boost its margin on them. Tesla reported Monday an 1.5 $1.14 billion in net income in the second quarter, results that blew past analyst expectations and marked the first time the company's quarterly profit on a GAAP basis has passed the 3 threshold. The result pushed shares up more than 2.2% in after-hours trading. Tesla was able to beat expectations and log its 8th straight quarter of profitability, even it has grappled with supply chain challenges and losses stemming from its Bitcoin investment. Operating income was $1.3 billion, which increased year over year from $327 billion due to volume growth and cost reduction. Prices for the high-end beans favored by Starbucks corporations and other cafe chains have surged more than 30% in a week. Those sky-high prices are because coffee trees in Brazil was weakened by a drought, then plummeted to frost in less than a month. Freezing temperatures last week especially hurt young trees, which will end to be trimmed or replanted, which will affect output for the years. Other major growers are going to reap less coffee than expected too, like Indonesia, which is seeing a light crop. Projections for losses so far are substantial, and the frost on July 20th probably erased around 3.45 million bags of output in June of the south of Minas Gerais, which is Brazil's main coffee growing region. IDX Channel reported.
Market headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Jika Anda adalah investor saham, Anda mendapat keuntungan di antaranya capital gain, yaitu keuntungan dari selisih harga beli dan harga jual saham. Dividend, yaitu pembagian laba kepada pemegang saham. Keuntungan lainnya, investor bisa memperoleh pendapatan tambahan dengan meminjamkan sahamnya melalui layanan pinjam meminjam efek atau PME. Apa itu PME? PME merupakan pinjaman efek sementara berupa saham dari investor untuk keperluan penyelesaian transaksi bursa. Apa saja manfaat yang didapatkan? Investor memperoleh keuntungan. Investor tetap dapat menerima dana sebagai pengganti dividen jika ada pembagian dividen saat sahamnya sedang dipinjamkan. Pendapatan yang diterima investor dari layanan PME dapat digunakan untuk membayar biaya penyimpanan saham. Saat nilai saham turun, investor tetap dapat memperoleh pendapatan hingga mengurangi potensi kerugian. Dan yang terpenting, KPEI menjamin pengembalian saham yang dipinjamkan sesuai waktu yang telah ditentukan. Menarik bukan? Prosesnya sangat sederhana. Investor cukup menghubungi perusahaan sekuritas dan menandatangani formulir perjanjian PME. Selanjutnya, jika terdapat kebutuhan penyelesaian transaksi bursa oleh peminjam, saham yang akan dipinjamkan diserahkan kepada KPEI melalui perusahaan sekuritas. Setelah proses PME selesai, maka KPEI akan mengembalikan saham yang telah dipinjamkan dan memberikan pendapatan kepada investor melalui perusahaan sekuritas. Segera hubungi perusahaan sekuritas Anda, Customer Care KPEI, atau kunjungi website kami untuk mengetahui layanan PME. PME, pinjamkan sahamnya, dapatkan manfaatnya.
Mendekati 800 triliun itu rakyat mestinya mengawasi.
Welcome back. To anticipate the continued spike in the cases, the COVID-19 Handling Task Force stated that the government has prepared a number of new vaccination schemes, including the third dose of vaccination as a booster and vaccine mixing.
The COVID-19 Handling Task Force stated that the government had prepared a number of new vaccination schemes to anticipate if the surge in COVID-19 cases continue to occur. The scheme includes the third dose of vaccination as a booster. In addition, spokespersons for the COVID-19 Handling Task Force, Wicky Adrian, say that mixing vaccines or administering vaccines with different brand of vaccines is also possible, especially for health workers.
Yang dapat dilakukan diantaranya melakukan booster vaksin dosis ketiga maupun mixing vaksin. Selain dengan percepatan vaksinasi di berbagai wilayah di Indonesia, saat ini pemerintah Indonesia berencana melakukan penyuntikan booster dosis ketiga kepada tenaga kesehatan yang dinilai memiliki risiko penularan tertinggi, baik karena intensitas maupun lokasi beraktivitas yang sangat tinggi laju penularannya, yaitu fasilitas pelayanan kesehatan. Masyarakat perlu memahami bahwa praktek mixing vaksin atau pemberian jenis vaksin COVID-19 yang berbeda sudah banyak direkomendasikan oleh peneliti dengan latar belakang keamanan dan ketersediaan vaksin yang dinamis.
Wicky ensures that vaccine boosters and vaccine mixing can be carried out after the clinical studies are completed. However, he appealed to the public not to mix vaccines and booster vaccines independently without permission and supervision. From Jakarta, Rizka Ayu, IDX Channel.
As the highly transmissible Delta variant of the coronavirus spreads in dozens of countries around the world, several governments are mixing vaccines in an attempt to boost their inoculation drives. So which countries apply the mixing vaccine policy? Let's check it on the next graphic, or this is the first graphic actually. This is countries considering mixing vaccines. We have Germany, Canada, Italy, South Korea, Vietnam. They took AstraZeneca as their first dose to be injected to the people. And then they're planning to have Pfizer and Moderna as the second dose. Meanwhile, for USA, they took Pfizer for the first dose, and the second dose is going to be Moderna. And Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, they took Sinopharm as the first dose and Pfizer the second dose. Thailand took Sinovac as the first dose and AstraZeneca as their second dose. Several world leaders have mixed vaccines in recent months. German Chancellor Angela Merkel received a second dose of the Moderna vaccine after receiving a first dose of AstraZeneca. In Italy, Prime Minister Mario Draghi switched to Pfizer for his second dose after having received an AstraZeneca shot. Meanwhile, Indonesia chose another strategy, namely injecting a third dose of vaccine as booster for health workers. And let's directly check it out on the next graphic. As a booster or third dose for health workers in Indonesia, first dose and the second dose, we took Sinovac, and then for the third dose, for the health workers, will be injected Moderna. And then Dominican Republic, they took Sinovac and AstraZeneca for the first and the second dose. Meanwhile, for the third dose, they will take different brand from the initial two doses. And a total of 4.5 million doses of Moderna vaccine from the United States have arrived in Indonesia. Minister of Health Budi Gunadi Sadikin said that apart from being used for the first and second injections for the public, the vaccine will be specifically used for the third booster injection for Indonesian health workers. From vaccine booster, let's get back again to mixing vaccines. How effective is it? Let's check it, the answer on the next graphic. Claims for the effectiveness of the COVID-19 vaccine combination produces a stronger immune response, 30 to 40 times more IgG antibodies in the blood, only cause short-term side effects, and the effectiveness is 8 times stronger. Data has been released from mixed trials in Spain and the United Kingdom, which suggests that mixing vaccines leads to a strong immune response and sometimes outperforms 2 doses of the same vaccine. Although a number of studies have shown good results, but what exactly are the WHO recommendations regarding vaccine mixing? Let's check it out in the next graphic. This is WHO recommendations regarding vaccine combination. Mixing vaccine doses is a quote-unquote dangerous trend. There is a little data on the impact on health and not enough data recommend mixing vaccines. And the World Health Organization's chief scientist Soumya Swaminathan has advised individuals against mixing and matching COVID-19 vaccines from different manufacturers, saying such decisions should be left to public health authorities. And hopefully mixing vaccines and injecting booster vaccines can be the best strategy in stemming the transmission of COVID-19 and being able to end the pandemic. Stay with us because Market Alliance will be right back after the break.
Upaya vaksinasi terus dilakukan untuk mencegah penyebaran COVID-19 varian jenis Delta dari India.
Minggu depan satu hari target yang kita berikan 100.000 bisa dicapai.
Hai sobat investor, kalian ingin tetap bisa menabung meskipun keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit? Dengerin tips berikut ini ya. Kita masuk ke tips yang pertama ya. Nah, yang pertama, kalian harus memenuhi semua kebutuhan rutin kalian terlebih dahulu nih. Barulah setelah itu kalian bisa mengalokasikan pendapatan kalian untuk memenuhi kebutuhan pelengkap lainnya. Kita masuk ke tips yang kedua ya sobat investor. Jadi penting sekali bagi kalian untuk menutup hutang sesuai dengan kemampuan kalian. Selain itu, kalian juga perlu menentukan utang mana yang harus kalian dahulukan untuk dilunasi. Selain itu, penting juga untuk selalu menyesuaikan dengan uang tunai yang kalian miliki. Tips selanjutnya yaitu tips yang ketiga. Jadi kalian penting sekali untuk menekan biaya bulanan nih sobat investor. Jadi kalian juga memang harus memangkas kebutuhan yang memang sifatnya hanya pelengkap saja. Dan penting sekali bagi kalian untuk mempertahankan biaya bulanan yang sifatnya memang untuk kebutuhan utama kalian. Tips yang keempat terkait dengan pengelolaan aset. Jadi jika ternyata penghasilan yang kalian miliki ini tidak bisa menutup kebutuhan kalian, maka kalian bisa mempertimbangkan untuk menjual aset yang kalian miliki. Tips yang kelima, jangan lupa sisihkan sekitar 10% dari penghasilan kalian untuk ditabung di tiap bulannya. Dan saat keadaan keuangan kalian sedang sulit, tidak menjadi alasan untuk gagal mencapai impian. Jangan lupa ya, harus selalu rajin dan juga disiplin dalam menabung sobat investor.
Welcome back. You're still watching Market Line, and now moving on to agriculture sector. Seeing good trend in CPO press globally, Astra Agrolestari targets 5% production growth by this year.
The price of CPO has tended to rise since the end of last year. In the midst of positive pulp movement trend, Astra Agrolestari is still maintaining production level. Company targets CPO productions from core plantations. As of May 2021, the realizations of Astra Agrolestari's CPO productions in the first 5 months of this year has reached around 641,000 tons. This figure grew by around 3.9% compared to the realizations of productions the same period of the previous year, which amounted to 591,000 tons. This year, the company has set a capital expenditure of around 1 trillion rupiah up to 1.5 trillion rupiah for plant rejuvenation and routine maintenance of fixed assets such as bridges, roads, and other. During the first quarter of 2021, the company has used 141 billion of capital expenditures, slightly lower than realizations of the capital expenditure in the first quarter of 2020, which was reached 188 billion rupiah. IDX Channel report.
Pandemic really changes people's behavior on transacting. People now tend to avoid paying cash because of this. Bank Mandiri recorded growth in e-money transaction during pandemic, especially when PPKM is implemented.
The government's emergency COVID-19 restrictions is of course to suppress the rate of COVID-19. This has an impact on all business sector, one of which is the chip-based electronic money business from banking sector. Bank Mandiri recorded growth in e-money transactions as of June 2021. the transactions amounting to 500 million transactions. Compared to the previous year, this figure shows an increase of 25% year-on-year, even though currently people's mobility is being limited due to the emergency COVID-19 restrictions policy. Whereas, e-money usage is mainly for the transportation sector such as toll roads, Transjakarta, commuter line, parking, and other with a market share of 90%. IDX Channel reported.
Step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role in current economic situation, and here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market lines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, Your Trustworthy Economic, Business and Capital Market Channel. As the COVID-19 pandemic is still ongoing, keep protecting your family by following health protocols, wearing face masks, keep your distance and stay away from crowds, wash your hands through running water, and also continue to support the vaccination program to accelerate the creation of herd immunity. I'm Wicky Adrian. Have a nice evening and stay safe.